It wasn't the slap that hurt. It was the way my kids looked at me when it happened, confused, scared, like they weren't sure if they were supposed to protect me or hide behind me. Let me back up for a second. We were at my in-laws' house for one of those fake happy family gatherings. You know the kind, everyone smiling too wide, pretending nothing's wrong while gossip oozes under every compliment. I'd been married to Jessica for 8 years. We had 2 kids, Danny and Chloe. They weren't biologically mine. I adopted them when Jessica's ex bailed. Never made a difference to me. I raised them, stayed up with them when they were sick, taught Danny how to ride a bike, braided Chloe's hair before her first day of kindergarten. They're mine. Always have been. So there I was, holding a plate of cold ribs, laughing at some lame joke Jessica's dad told, when her sister, Amanda, strutted up to me like she was walking a damn runway. Her eyes were blazing. Everyone saw it. The room even got quiet, like it knew drama was about to unfold. "You're not even a real father," she hissed. "You just adopted them." And then a slap, right across my face. Hard. In front of everyone. My son's eyes widened, his mouth trembling. Chloe grabbed my leg. My cheek stung, sure. But what really burned was the shame. I touched my face slowly, turned back to Amanda, calm, steady. And I smiled. Not because it was funny, but because sometimes the truth is so damn ugly it deserves a smile. "Since you brought it up," I said. Silence. You could hear the AC humming. Jessica's wine glass slipped from her hand and shattered. Her face turned pale. Amanda's jaw twitched like she just realized she'd poked a sleeping bear. My heart was pounding, but not from the slap. No, that moment gave me permission. Because now the gloves were off. You see, what Amanda didn't realize was that I already knew. I'd known for 3 months. Known that Jessica had been sneaking around with that sorry excuse for a personal trainer, Ryan. Yeah, that cliché. The gym guy with tight shirts and too much cologne. The one she said was just helping her stay fit. Well, apparently, staying fit now meant sneaking off to hotel rooms, lying about yoga classes, and having me watch the kids while she played the role of a high school teenager again. I hadn't said anything. Not yet. I was watching. Waiting. But that slap? That public humiliation? That was my green light. "Jessica," I said, loud enough for every nosy aunt and half-drunk uncle to hear, "why don't you tell your family where you were last Thursday at 4 p.m.? And maybe explain why Ryan's shirt was in your gym bag?" She blinked. Froze. Amanda looked at her like she'd just swallowed a lemon. Jessica opened her mouth, but I wasn't done. "Or maybe you want me to play the voicemail?" I pulled out my phone. Her face drained of color faster than a sinkhole swallows dirt. "The one where you tell him you love him, but need to keep things quiet until after the holidays?" Now it was my turn to drop a bomb. She lunged for my phone, and I stepped back, calm as a damn monk. "No, babe. We're doing this now. Right here. You embarrassed me in front of my kids, your family, everyone. Now it's time for the truth. Since your sister wants to talk about who's a real father, let's talk about who's a real wife." The room exploded. Her mother started crying. Her father stood up like he didn't know which one of us to hit. Amanda? She looked like she just realized she slapped the wrong guy. Jessica? She turned vicious. "You want to play the victim now?" she snapped. "You're just bitter because I'm not some obedient little housewife." "Oh, that's what this is?" I laughed loud. "This isn't about obedience. This is about you lying, cheating, and thinking I wouldn't find out. Thinking I was just some doormat you could walk over while I played daddy to your kids. You're not their father," she screamed. Danny flinched. And that was it. I turned to Danny, to Chloe. I saw the fear in their eyes, not because of me, but because of her. Because they finally saw her mask fall off. I crouched down to them and said quietly, "We're going home. You don't need to see this anymore." As we walked toward the door, Jessica grabbed my arm. "Wait, Jason, I didn't mean it like that." I turned to her. My voice calm. Steel beneath velvet. "You meant every word, Jess. And after tonight, I'll make sure everyone knows exactly who you really are." Behind us, Amanda whispered, "Holy S***T. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the guest room of my buddy Mike's house, staring at the ceiling like it had answers. The kids were asleep on the pullout. Chloe kept holding my hand even while she dozed off, like she was scared I'd vanish too. Jessica called 15 times. I didn't pick up once. Every few minutes, another text buzzed in. "Please, can we talk?" "Jason," I was confused. "It didn't mean anything. You're blowing this up. I love you." All lies. Cold, manufactured lies from a woman who could look you dead in the eye while stabbing your back. The crazy thing? I wanted to believe her. Part of me. That stupid part that still remembered our wedding day, her laugh, the smell of her hair on Sunday mornings. It wanted to pretend this wasn't real. But it was. 3 months ago, I noticed the little changes. The late-night gym sessions. The fresh lipstick before errands. The password on her phone suddenly changing. I asked, lightly at first. She laughed it off, rolled her eyes, told me I was being clingy. So I let it go. I trusted her. That was my first mistake. Second mistake? Not listening to my gut. It got worse. I started seeing it, the smug little smirk she had when she got a text and turned the screen away. The way she suddenly needed space all the time, snapping if I asked the simplest question. And then the moment I couldn't unsee, I came home early one Thursday. Her car was there. I walked in. Empty house, except I heard the shower running upstairs. Weird. Then I saw the shirt on the floor in the hallway. Ryan's logo. The same one he wore in his gym pics. I walked up to the bathroom door. Steam everywhere. I opened it. She was alone, but her face gave her away before I even spoke. Eyes wide. Guilty. Like a kid caught stealing cookies. She said she just wanted to shower alone, that she worked out harder than usual. I didn't press it. Just watched her. And in that silence, she knew I didn't buy it. I got what I needed the next week. The voicemail. I'd synced her phone to the family laptop long ago for the kids' photos. Guess she forgot. Guess she thought I'd never look. Ryan's voice came first. God, you wore me out today. I wish we didn't have to sneak around like this. Then hers. I know, babe. I just need Jason to keep thinking everything's normal. I can't risk him leaving with the kids yet. After New Year's, I'll fix everything. Fix everything. Like I was a broken appliance. I stared at the screen, my hands shaking so bad I almost dropped the laptop. I copied the file. Listened to it again. And again. I didn't cry. Not then. I shut the laptop, walked to the kitchen, poured a drink. Straight whiskey. The burn didn't compare to what was happening in my chest. I should have confronted her then. But no. I wanted to see how far she'd go. I wanted her to bury herself in lies. And then came the slap. Amanda's tantrum. Her bitter venom wrapped in jealousy. I still don't know what pissed her off more, that I had a better bond with the kids than she did, or that I didn't worship her sister like some spineless simp. But in that moment, Amanda became the spark that blew it all up. Now, here I was, 3 a.m., staring at my kids while my wife slept in our bed alone, probably dreaming up 100 fake apologies. I unlocked my phone, played the voicemail one more time. Then I pressed record. Hi, Jess. Just wanted to say thank you for the lies, for the cheating, for letting your sister humiliate me so I could finally show the truth. Oh, and by the way, I sent the voicemail to your dad. Also CC'd it to your church group chat and that Facebook mom circle you love so much. Maybe Ryan can help explain it when the pastor asks for prayer requests next week. I smiled. Ended the recording. Sent it. Seconds later, my phone lit up again. Jessica, what the F asterisk did you do? Jessica, you're ruining my life. No, Jess. You did that all by yourself. She showed up at Mike's house the next morning, screaming from the driveway like a lunatic. Still wearing the same leggings and hoodie from the night before, no makeup, hair in a mess bun, face blotchy. For once, she looked real. Ugly real. Mike opened the door before I could get there. You want to keep it down, he said, voice cold. My wife's inside, and the kids are trying to eat breakfast like normal people. Jessica barged past him like she owned the place. I didn't say a word. Just stood there, arms crossed, waiting. You humiliated me, she hissed, eyes locked on mine. You think you're the victim? You made me look like a monster in front of my entire family. I laughed. Actually laughed. You were a monster, I said. Just the kind that hides behind fake smiles and PDA meetings. She stepped closer. You think you're some saint because you played house with kids that aren't yours? That hit hard. Low. Designed to stab deep. I took a step forward 2 inches from her face. I am their father. I earned that. You? You're just the woman who cheated on the man who raised them. Lied to him. Used him. And then let your sister slap him in front of them while you stood there like a coward. Her lip trembled. For a second, I saw something crack behind the rage, fear, maybe, regret. Then it was gone. Fine, she said, voice going ice cold. You want to paint me as the villain? Go ahead. But if you think I'm letting you take my kids, you're out of your mind. Oh, we're doing that now? I said, smiling again. Now you care about the kids? After sneaking around, bringing a stranger into our lives like they wouldn't notice? You used them like bargaining chips. I made a mistake. No, Jess. A mistake is forgetting an anniversary. You made a choice. Repeatedly. With a guy who probably thinks a bookshelf is a personality. That got her. She started pacing. I wasn't happy, Jason. I felt trapped. I needed something that was mine. You were always there. Always. Perfect. You made me feel small. Don't blame your dirt on my clean floors. She stopped. You think you're better than me? No, I said, calmer than I should have been. I know I am. She was silent for a second. Then she changed tactics, just like that. Voice soft. Tears coming now, fake or not. I couldn't tell anymore. I loved you once. You know that, right? She whispered. That makes it worse. The door creaked behind us, Danny and Chloe peeking through. Mike's wife gently pushed them back inside. Jessica saw them. Her tears ramped up like she was on cue. I'm still their mom. Biologically, sure. That one landed like a slap of my own. She flinched. Then she dropped the act completely. You'll regret this, she said, stepping back, voice sharp again. You think you're some noble man? You're just bitter. You'll be alone, and everyone will know how pathetic you are. Funny, I said. Everyone seems to be apologizing to me lately. Even your father. Even Amanda. That last part stung. Amanda had messaged me that morning. No apology. Not really. Just a sentence. I didn't know. I was wrong. I let her walk out without another word. She didn't deserve a goodbye. I stood in the kitchen for a long time, just listening to my heartbeat in my chest, louder than it should have been. Not from fear. From the weight of freedom, heavy, almost unbearable, but finally mine. Mike came up behind me. You all right, man? Not yet, I said. But I will be. Because here's the truth people don't tell you. Betrayal doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your reality. You start questioning everything. Every laugh. Every kiss. Every night lying next to someone who is playing a different game. But once you see it for what it is, you can't unsee it. You don't need revenge. You need distance. Peace. Control. And I was taking all of it back. Piece by piece. I called my lawyer that afternoon. Told him everything. Sent the files. The messages. The proof. I was done talking. Now it was time to act. ChatGPT Powie Edziel. The lawyer's name was Kevin Thompson. Real straight shooter, firm handshake, sharper tongue. He listened without blinking as I laid everything out. Cheating. Lies. The voicemail. The slap in front of my kids. When I was done, he leaned back, tapped his pen against the desk, and said, You want custody? Full, I said. He nodded. Good. You've got the leverage. She's reckless. Public infidelity, emotional damage to the children, and we've got evidence. I handed him the flash drive. She's gonna fight dirty, I warned. Kevin cracked a dry smile. Let her. Some people look uglier the more they speak. You just stay clean. I'll be the one getting bloody. That was the first time in weeks I felt like someone was in my corner. The next 72 hours were a storm. Jessica called nonstop. Sometimes crying. Sometimes screaming. Sometimes both in the same breath. She showed up at Danny's school. Tried to act normal, kissed his head, said she missed him. But he didn't smile back. He looked small, guarded, like someone too young to know how to protect his heart, but trying anyway. The school called me. I picked him up early. That night, Chloe asked me a question while brushing her teeth that nearly broke me. Daddy, if Mommy lies, does that mean she doesn't love me anymore? I had to step into the hallway and press my hand against the wall. Breathe. Then I came back, knelt down, and said, Sweetheart, when grown-ups lie, it means they don't know how to love right. But you did nothing wrong, and I will never lie to you. She nodded, but I saw it, that shadow behind her eyes. The damage Jessica did in months would take years to undo. And Ryan? He had the nerve to DM me. Sorry, man. I didn't know she was still emotionally tied to you like that. Didn't mean for things to get messy. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied, You're a grown man who knowingly slept with someone's wife. Stay away from my kids. If I see you near them, it won't be lawyers we're using. He blocked me. Smart. Jessica finally got served the papers on a Friday morning. She showed up to the mediation with sunglasses on and fake tears ready. She told the mediator I was emotionally distant, obsessed with work, and used the adoption to guilt her into staying. Kevin leaned in, dropped the voicemail on the table like a bomb. The room went silent. Jessica's face went stone cold. She didn't even flinch this time. No denials. Just pure, vicious contempt. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, You're really gonna destroy our whole life over one mistake? I leaned forward. You destroyed it the second you let my kids call me daddy while calling someone else babe in secret. This isn't revenge. This is justice. She laughed then. Real ugly sound. You think they'll hate me? They won't. I'm their mother. And I'm the man who never walked out on them. Let's see what that means in the long run. In the end, we settled fast. Kevin made sure of it. Full custody to me. Supervised visitation for her, and only if she passed a psychological evaluation. She stormed out of the mediation like the building was on fire. No goodbye. No apology. Just poison in her veins and pride in her throat. And me? I drove home, rolled the windows down, and didn't play any music. Just listened to the wind. When I got home, Chloe was waiting at the door with her stuffed elephant. Danny was watching cartoons on the couch, but when he saw me, he jumped up and hugged me like I'd just come back from war. In a way, I had. I tucked them in that night, kissed their foreheads, and sat in the dark with a beer, thinking about everything. She thought I'd fall apart. But instead, I became something else. Free. ChatGPT Powie Edziel. A month passed. No calls. No texts. No surprise visits. Jessica had gone quiet. Too quiet. The silence was unsettling, like the moment right before a storm when the air gets heavy and every instinct in you says brace for impact. I kept busy. Work, the kids, therapy appointments. Chloe started drawing again, which felt like a small miracle. Danny was laughing more, finally sleeping through the night without waking up crying for both of us. I'd been honest with them, told them Mommy was sick, not the kind with a fever, but the kind that needed to fix her heart before she could be near them again. They accepted it better than I expected. Maybe because they saw too much already. One Saturday morning, we were making pancakes when the doorbell rang. Danny beat me to the door. And standing there was Amanda, looking like she hadn't slept in a week. Her eyes were red, no makeup, clutching her purse like it was her last lifeline. I didn't say a word, just stared. I need to talk to you, she said. Danny looked up at me, confused. I nodded toward the kitchen. Go keep stirring the batter. But he hesitated, then obeyed. I stepped outside with her, shutting the door behind me. You've got 5 minutes, I said. She nodded, swallowing hard. I didn't know how bad it was. I swear. I thought you were just being dramatic when you started pulling away from Jess. She always played the victim. She still is. Amanda took a breath. I believed her lies. All of them. Even when she told me you were emotionally manipulating the kids. But after the voicemail leaked, after she lost custody, I saw it. All of it. I crossed my arms. What do you want? To say I was wrong. Her voice cracked. I slapped you in front of your children. And I'm ashamed. You didn't deserve that. And they didn't deserve to see it. I didn't reply right away. The memory still burned. She said you'd try to take everything from her, Amanda went on. But the truth is, she never earned anything to begin with. That hit harder than I expected, not because it was news, but because it came from her. She's drinking now, Amanda added quietly. Ryan dumped her. She's alone, spiraling. Her pride won't let her admit it, but she's drowning. I looked at her then. Really looked. And I saw what Jessica would become in 10 years if she kept on this path. Just another bitter woman aging faster than her reflection, burning bridges and playing victim in every story she told. I appreciate the apology, I said finally. But you don't get to come in here and be the aunt again just because you feel bad now. Amanda's eyes filled with tears. I know. I miss them. I miss being part of their lives. Can you tell them I'm sorry? I didn't promise. I just nodded once and turned back inside. That night, after the kids were asleep, I scrolled through old photos on my phone. There was one of Jessica holding Chloe on her first birthday. Both of them were smiling. It looked perfect. But I remembered the moment behind that picture, how Jessica had thrown a tantrum earlier that day because the icing color didn't match the Pinterest theme she'd picked. How she called me useless loud enough for everyone to hear. How I'd laughed it off to keep the party going. That was her way. Smile for the photo, scream in private. I deleted the picture. Then I opened a new note in my phone and started writing down everything I'd learned, not about her, but about me. What I tolerated. What I'd excused. What I swore I'd never allow again. And somewhere in that list, I wrote a line I didn't expect. I loved someone who never really existed. Because that was the truth. I didn't miss Jessica. I missed the version of her I built in my head. The woman who said the right words, wore the right dress, played the role. But the real one? She was just a stranger in my bed. By the time I closed the note, I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time. Not rage. Not sadness. Peace. Not the fake kind you post about. The kind you earn, one broken illusion at a time. And for the first time in months, I slept without waking up in a cold sweat. I didn't dream about her. I dreamed about a house by the lake, my kids laughing in the backyard, and me, alone, but not lonely. Alive. The peace didn't last long. 2 weeks later, Jessica broke the silence. It started with an email. No subject line. Just a single sentence. We need to talk before you ruin everything. No explanation. No apology. Just another veiled threat wrapped in desperation. I didn't reply. So she showed up at the kids' soccer game. I was on the sidelines, sipping coffee, cheering for Danny as he jogged onto the field. Chloe sat next to me, braiding her Barbie's hair. Then I saw the heads start to turn, the quiet ripple of attention spreading down the bleachers. There she was. Jessica, in sunglasses too big for her face, strutting toward us like nothing had happened. She even smiled at a couple parents. I stepped forward before she could get near the kids. You can't be here, I said quietly. It's a public field, she snapped, her voice low and venomous. I checked. You think I care about technicalities? I stepped closer. You show up again uninvited, I will file for a restraining order. You think keeping me away is protecting them? Her eyes were wild now, mascara already starting to smudge. You're turning them against me. You did that all by yourself. She opened her mouth to argue, but then Danny saw her. His face dropped, and that killed whatever speech she had rehearsed. He turned back to the game without waving. She watched that happen like someone just knocked the air out of her. Her hand fluttered up to her chest. For a second, I thought she might actually cry. But of course, she didn't. She turned to me, eyes narrow. You're making a mistake, she said. When they grow up, they'll ask what you did to keep their mother in their life. I nodded. Yeah, and I'll show them every message, every voicemail, every choice you made. Because I documented everything. She didn't reply. Just walked away, slower this time. Defeated, but still toxic enough to leave a sour taste in the air. Chloe looked up. Was that Mommy? I didn't lie. Yeah. Why didn't she wave at me? Because sometimes grown-ups forget how to do the right thing, even when it's simple. She nodded, then went back to her doll. That night, after the kids were asleep, I pulled out the old fireproof lockbox I kept in my closet. Inside, our marriage certificate, the adoption papers, copies of every legal form filed since this whole thing began. I stared at the marriage certificate for a long time. The date, the handwriting, the signatures. Then I grabbed a lighter from the drawer. I didn't hesitate. Watched the edges curl, the ink blacken and flake away. No drama. No music playing in the background. Just flame, smoke, and closure. I flushed the ashes down the toilet. Not for symbolism. For sanitation. Because that's what it had all become, waste. Filthy, draining, and finally gone. The next morning, I got an email from the school. Jessica tried to list herself as an emergency contact again. I called the principal immediately. Shut it down. Fast. Later that day, Kevin, my lawyer, called. She's trying to amend the custody agreement. Claims she's been rehabilitated. Wants joint visitation. I could almost hear him rolling his eyes through the phone. What do you want me to do? I was silent for a moment. Then I said, destroy her in court. Professionally. Kevin chuckled. With pleasure. See, it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about protection. Jessica wasn't a wounded ex. She was a sinking ship desperate to pull someone down with her. And I wasn't about to let my kids go down into that chaos. The next few weeks were a blur of paperwork, hearings, supervised visits she didn't show up to, and testimonies from therapists who'd spoken to my kids. By the end of it, the judge didn't even need time to deliberate. Jessica lost all visitation rights. Permanently. She didn't even stay to hear the verdict. Walked out of the courtroom halfway through the hearing, slamming the door like a child being sent to their room. And just like that, it was over. The war, the stress, the mental gymnastics of pretending any of it made sense. Gone. I walked out of the courthouse, looked up at the sky, gray and spitting rain, and smiled anyway. Because freedom doesn't always come on a sunny day. Sometimes, it comes soaked in rain, with tired eyes and worn-out hands. But it still feels like flight. A full rotation around the sun since everything burned to the ground. And somehow, I've never felt more alive. Life didn't magically get easier. No, I still wake up some nights thinking I hear Chloe crying, only to find her curled up safe in her bed. I still flinch when the phone buzzes unexpectedly. Still double-check the locks at night, not out of fear, but out of habit. Wounds like this don't heal in a straight line. But they do heal. The house is different now. Lighter. No more walking on eggshells. No more fake laughter at forced dinner conversations. No more quiet tension so thick it made the walls feel closer than they were. Instead, it's real now. Chloe plays the piano badly, but fearlessly. Danny's obsessed with bugs and mud and asks questions like, "Do ants fall in love?" Ryan, the oldest, calls me dad, like he invented the word. Like it always belonged to me. And maybe it did. Because being a father isn't about blood. It's about showing up. When their hearts crack open, when the world feels too big, when they need truth more than comfort, you show up. And I never stopped. Jessica? Last I heard, she moved states. New job, no custody, no visitation. Rumor is she's dating some new guy who doesn't know her full story. That part used to bother me. It doesn't anymore. Let him figure it out the hard way. She was never going to change. Not for me. Not for the kids. Not for herself. Some people aren't broken. They're built like that. All sharp edges and mirrored lies, wearing masks so long they forget what their real face ever looked like. My job was never to fix her. My job was to protect the people she could have broken. And I did. I won. Not in court. Not against her. But within myself. Because there was a time when I thought staying quiet made me strong. Thought patience was love and tolerance was peace. But now I know better. Love without respect is just self-harm with a romantic soundtrack. And peace? Peace is what happens when you stop arguing with chaos. These days, people ask me if I'm dating again. I tell them the truth. Not yet. I'm rebuilding something more important than romance. I'm rebuilding trust. With myself. With the idea that not everyone wears masks. That somewhere out there, maybe, is someone who doesn't need to be explained away to my children. Someone who loves like I do, loud, honest, and all in. But I'm not in a rush. Because I've already got a full house. And on Friday nights, when the kids are asleep and the dog's curled at my feet, I sit out on the porch, sip a whiskey, and breathe in the kind of quiet that used to scare me. Now it feels like a reward. I still think back sometimes to that slap, to that voicemail, to her face when the lies stopped working. Not out of bitterness. Out of clarity. That moment wasn't my undoing. It was my awakening. So if you're reading this, and you're where I was, drowning in doubt, justifying disrespect, pretending betrayal is somehow your fault, let me give you the only advice that matters. You don't owe anyone your silence. You don't owe anyone a second chance at hurting you. And you don't have to set yourself on fire to keep someone else's light warm. Get out. Get loud. Get free. And when you do, don't look back. Because the only thing waiting behind you is a ghost of a life you finally outgrew. Let it haunt someone else. You've got better things to build.